Picture this. You spend 3 weeks perfecting a strategic analysis that could save your company millions. You craft every sentence, verify every data point, anticipate every question. You hit send on a masterpiece. And then silence. Meanwhile, your colleague throws together a flashy PowerPoint in 2 hours, presents it with a smile and a story, and gets invited to present to the executive team. If that scenario just made your stomach drop, you're experiencing what I call the invisible genius paradox, and you're definitely not alone. Here's the thing about being an invisible genius. Your work is exceptional, but your visibility is practically non-existent. You're the person who delivers the goods every single time. Your code is clean, your analysis is thorough, your solutions are elegant. But somehow, you're always watching other people get the recognition, the promotions, the opportunities that should be yours. Let me guess what your internal monologue sounds like. My work should speak for itself. If I do good work, people will notice. Self-promotion feels gross and manipulative. I shouldn't have to blow my own horn. That's not who I am. Sound familiar? You've been conditioned to believe that quality work naturally rises to the top, like cream and milk. But here's the brutal truth. In today's attention economy workplace, invisible excellence is just invisible. You watch as colleagues with half your skill set get twice the recognition. They share their half-finished projects in team meetings. They send quick update emails about their progress. They casually mention their contributions in conversations. And it works. While you're perfecting your masterpiece in private, they're building their reputation in public. The worst part, you start questioning your own worth. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought. Maybe my work isn't that valuable. Maybe I'm just making excuses. But deep down, you know that's not true. You know your work has impact. You see it in the results, in the problems solved, in the systems improved. But if a tree falls in a forest and no one hears it, did it make a sound? If genius-level work happens and no one sees it, does it matter professionally? This is your paradox, the very traits that make you excellent at your work. Attention to detail, preference for depth over breadth, focus on substance over style, are the same traits that make you professionally invisible. Here's what's really happening. You're operating under what I call the effort fallacy. This is the deeply ingrained belief that effort should be rewarded proportionally, that if you work twice as hard, you should get twice the recognition. But organizational psychology research tells us something different. Visibility isn't about effort. It's about narrative. Dr. Adam Grant's research at Wharton shows that people don't promote the hardest workers. They promote the most promotable workers. And promotability isn't just about competence. It's about perceived leadership potential. Perceived leadership potential comes from one thing: the ability to influence others' understanding of your value. Think about it this way. Your brain has been trained to think in terms of merit-based systems, like school. In school, you did the work, submitted it, and got graded based on quality. The system was designed to evaluate your output fairly. But the workplace isn't school. In the workplace, there's no teacher systematically reviewing everyone's work and assigning grades. There's just a bunch of busy people making decisions based on incomplete information and competing priorities. Your colleagues who seem to get unfair recognition aren't necessarily gaming the system. They're understanding the system. They recognize that professional success isn't just about doing great work. It's about ensuring great work gets seen, understood, and remembered by the people who make decisions about your future. Here's the neuroscience behind why this matters. Human brains are wired for story, not data. When your manager thinks about your contributions, they don't access a spreadsheet of your accomplishments. They access a narrative about who you are and what you bring to the team. If you haven't actively contributed to that narrative, other people are writing it for you. And trust me, they're not as invested in your success as you are. The invisible genius paradox exists because you've been taught that self-promotion is arrogant. But you've never been taught the difference between arrogant self-promotion and strategic visibility. Arrogant self-promotion is about ego. Look how amazing I am. Strategic visibility is about service. Here, that's how my work creates value for our shared goals. So how do you solve the invisible genius paradox without compromising your integrity or becoming someone you're not? I'm going to teach you the PAR method, a framework. It makes your work visible without feeling arrogant or manipulative. P, Prepare strategic context setting. The first step isn't about promoting your work. It's about preparing others to understand its value. Before you dive into any significant project, spend 5 minutes creating what I call strategic context. Here's how it works. Send a brief email or have a quick conversation that frames your upcoming work in terms of business impact. Not, I'm going to analyze our customer data, but I'm diving into our customer data to identify opportunities for reducing churn. I'll have insights for you by Friday that could impact our Q4 retention targets. Notice what happened there? You're not bragging about your analytical skills. You're connecting your work to outcomes that matter to your stakeholders. You're preparing them to see your work as valuable before they even receive it. Lisa, a data scientist I worked with, transformed her career using this approach. Instead of just delivering reports, she started every project by saying something like, I'm investigating whether our new user onboarding is creating the engagement patterns we expect. If my hypothesis is right, we might need to adjust our product roadmap before the next release. When she delivered her analysis, people were already primed to see it as strategically important, not just technically impressive. A. Act visible progress updates. This is where most invisible geniuses fail. They disappear into their work cave and emerge weeks later with a finished product. But visibility isn't just about outcomes. It's about demonstrating your thinking process, your problem-solving approach, and your commitment to results. Here's the key. Send what I call progress with purpose updates. Not I'm still working on the analysis, but quick update. I've identified 3 major patterns in our customer behavior that could explain the retention issues we've been seeing. Still validating the data, but early indicators suggest our assumptions about user preferences might need updating. Do this once or twice during longer projects. You're not asking for feedback or approval. You're demonstrating that you're thinking strategically about the work, not just executing tasks. You're showing that you understand the bigger picture and can communicate complex ideas clearly. Marcus, a software engineer, used this approach during a 3-week refactoring project. Instead of radio silence followed by a code deployment, sent 2 brief updates, one highlighting a critical security vulnerability he'd discovered and addressed, and another explaining how his architectural changes would improve system performance by an estimated 40%. When the project finished, his manager already understood its strategic value, and Marcus was invited to present the approach to other teams. R. Report impact translation. This is the most crucial step and the one most invisible geniuses skip entirely. When you complete significant work, you must translate your efforts into business language. Don't just deliver the work. Deliver the story of what the work accomplishes. Create what I call an impact summary for any substantial project. This isn't a detailed technical report. It's a brief narrative. It connects your work to outcomes that matter to decision makers. Use this formula. Here's what I did, here's what I discovered, and here's what it means for our goals. For example, I've completed the customer segmentation analysis. Key finding: our highest value customers share 3 unexpected characteristics that we're not currently targeting in our acquisition strategy. If we adjust our marketing approach based on these insights, we could potentially increase customer lifetime value by 25% while reducing acquisition costs. Happy to walk through the methodology and recommendations when convenient? Notice what's happening here. You're not just reporting completion. You're demonstrating business acumen, strategic thinking, and results orientation. You're showing that you don't just do good work. You understand why good work matters. Sarah, a marketing analyst, used this approach after completing a campaign performance study. Instead of just sharing the data, she framed her findings in terms of budget allocation recommendations for the next quarter. Her insights directly influenced a $200,000 budget decision. And suddenly she was being consulted on strategic marketing questions she'd never been asked about before. The beauty of the PAR method is that it doesn't require you to become someone else. You're not boasting or exaggerating. You're simply ensuring that your excellent work gets the context, visibility, and interpretation it deserves. Here's what I need you to understand. Your instinct to let your work speak for itself isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. Your work is brilliant, but brilliant work without strategic visibility is just expensive overhead. You're not doing anyone any favors by keeping your genius invisible, least of all yourself. Think about it this way. When you hide your contributions, you're not being humble. you're being selfish. Because the insights you're keeping to yourself, the problems you're solving in silence, the innovations you're creating behind closed doors, they could be helping other people. They could be improving systems, solving challenges, creating opportunities for your entire team. Your reluctance to promote your work isn't protecting your integrity. It's limiting your impact. And impact is why you do this work in the first place, right? You're not motivated by glory. You're motivated by the satisfaction of solving complex problems and creating value. But if people don't understand the value you're creating, they can't build on it, learn from it, or apply it to other challenges. The PAR method isn't about becoming a self-promoting narcissist. It's about becoming a strategic communicator who ensures that valuable work gets the visibility it needs to create maximum impact. It's about taking responsibility not just for doing excellent work, but for ensuring excellent work gets recognized, understood, and leveraged. Every time you use this framework, you're not just advancing your career, you're modeling a better way of working. You're showing other invisible geniuses that it's possible to be both excellent and visible. Your career isn't waiting for someone else to discover your genius. It's waiting for you to make your genius discoverable. There's a difference, and that difference will change everything. Starting tomorrow, pick one project, just one, and apply the PAR method. Prepare the context, act with visible progress, and report the impact. See what happens when your excellent work finally gets the visibility it deserves. And here's my challenge for you. After you try this method once, come back and let me know in the comments what shifted. I guarantee you'll be surprised by how people respond when they can finally see the value you've been creating all along. If you found this helpful, you need to watch my next video about the Quiet Leaders Communication Playbook. It's specifically designed for people like you who want to build influence without compromising authenticity. Your future visible self will thank you. Remember, your genius was never the problem. Your invisibility was. Now you know how to fix it.